Hello everyone, it is Briximus Prime back for another top video thing, and today we're going to be going over my top 22 Transformers Generations figures of 2022. Basically, Generations figures, the rules is that these have to be figures that are not in the Studio Series, they're Generations figures. That's the label they're sold under. And then all the Generations figures that I get don't have to be ones that released this year, though a majority of them are ones that released this year. So anyway, starting with the honorable mentions, and I have quite a lot of honorable mentions. It was a really hard time trying to narrow down this entire list. So here's just an image of the in general ones that I just couldn't seem to jam in there, like the camera, the Orion Pax, the Shockwave, the Shattered Glass Slicer. Like, I just couldn't decide who was going to be put in the list, and these were just all the guys that I still liked this year that just didn't make it in, as well as Core Class Shockwave. I almost forgot that one. Now getting into number 22, we have the Transformers Legacy Hasbro Pulse exclusive 2-packs Alpha Trion. Again, I like Alpha Trion, but this figure did have a couple of quality control issues and everything. And also in my previous tier list videos, I kept talking about how I keep on putting figures that are really good lower on the list because there are just some that are better than others, and there's some that are still really good. And the problem is all of these figures all ended up like that because, again, there were so many, I just couldn't decide between which ones I liked more than others. Just like number 21, which is the Transformers Legacy Wave 1 Skids. Really happy with how Skids turned out. Really like his character. He has a great figure, and he transforms into a nice vehicle, and I like the accessories, and overall I don't have much to complain about, except there are a couple of bits and things and bits of paint that I feel like were missing that this guy really should have needed. Also, I was upset, well, not upset, but it was a little weird that they didn't give him red hands and they gave him black hands. Just thought that was a little weird. Now getting into number 20, we have the Wreck and Rule Collections Deluxe Class G2 Leadfoot. This was my favorite figure of the whole Wreck and Rule collection set of this year, and this guy was definitely my favorite. I love the colors, they're bright, vibrant. This guy really brings out that G2 vibe, and also I also really appreciate that big old Wreckers logo, and the new head looks really awesome. Now moving on to number 19, we have the Golden Disc Collections Pterosaur, and I'm really happy I was able to barely get my pre-order in on this guy because I do like the Pterosaur, but unlike a lot of other figures on this list, as much as I like this figure a lot, and he's based on that Kingdom Air Razor, which is an amazing figure, this guy has that really big issue where the wings like to fall off, and it's really, really irritating, and so that's why this guy is lower on the list, even though I did like him a lot. And now moving on to number 18, we have the Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Crasher, the GoBot character Crasher. And I really like this figure. One of the things that really stood out to me as soon as I opened her out of the box is she has this glossy black paint that gives her this very nice premium finish. That brand new head sculpt and all the painted details look great. And overall, I just have nothing to really complain about because, again, this Mirage mold is very nice. I mentioned about it with the Wreck and Rule collection figure, and I just also really like it here on Crasher as well. And now getting into number 17, we've got the Transformers Legacy Core Class Bombburst. This is the Pretender shell guy squished down into a teeny little Core Class figure, and I really like the concept because this little guy is really posable, and I've never been more satisfied with a tiny little $10 purchase, because again, this figure packs in so much detail and so much articulation for being such a tiny little $10 figure. Like, he has like just as much articulation as most Deluxe and Voyager Class figures. The only thing that I don't like about this figure over others is that in his vehicle mode, his arms don't really like to tab in anywhere, and they just kind of dangle and float around. There is supposed to be a tab somewhere, but it's so small and insignificant, it doesn't even hold the arms in all that well, and so that's why this guy's lower, even as much as I was satisfied with his price. And coming in at number 16, we have the Legacy Deluxe Class Kickback. And yes, one of the main points I want to make is I liked this figure enough that it makes me want for them to make the next two, like Bombshell and Shrapnel. And I would love to see both of those guys in a Legacy Deluxe class, or even in like a Studio Series 86 kind of deluxe size. And one of the things I like about this guy in particular is he has the articulation, he has the detail, he has that nice little Tommy gun, and I also love those purple Energon blade things he came with, but most of all, I love how his wings really make him feel like a more substantial figure than he actually is. And again, very accurate to how he looked in the cartoon. Now moving on to number 15, we have the Transformers Velocitron Speedia 500 Override. Override here is a nice Voyager class, and this was one of the most anticipated female Transformers I had of the year. The other one that I was highly anticipating was Crasher, and then the other one I wasn't able to get my hands on, which was Minerva, so she'll have to go on next year's list. But point is, this figure is a very nice Voyager class. She is a little bit clunky here and there, but the overall, I still like her figure a whole lot. It's just, there were other figures that I liked more than this one from this year, but I liked her enough that I still wanted her in this list. And her overall vehicle mode and articulation and just overall painted details look really good as well, especially those highlights of gold. Now moving on to number 14, we have the Transformers Shattered Glass Leader Class Ultra Magnus. Now, I was not anticipating to like this figure as much as I did. I just thought, oh, it's Ultra Magnus again. But after getting this guy in the different colors and that head sculpt and his alternate head in the comic book, this guy feels a lot more substantial than he actually is, which makes him feel worth that like $60 price tag. Sorry, I had some hiccups. And overall, I really like how this guy looks in truck mode, and in it's just the only thing is, I do think his head does look a teeny bit small for his big chunky body, so I do wish they kind of bulked it up a little bit, but the overall is I like this guy. And I had just so much fun coming back to this guy, and I would keep coming back to him and playing with him a lot more than I thought I would. Now getting into number 13, we have the Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Leader Class Scourge. Now, Scourge here I really liked. I didn't want to get that Laser Optimus Prime mold, or the Laser Optimus Prime specifically, because I don't really have a personal attachment to that design. But the Scourge here I really like because it's Nemesis Prime. I'm always a big fan of Nemesis Prime and black repaints in general. And overall, this guy's a good repaint, but the only reason he's lower on the list is because those shoulders are a bit clunky, and I wish they figured out a better way how to get it to work. But overall, I love the truck mode, love the robot mode, the light piping, the accessories, and also I like that little cherry on top that they gave him the upside-down G2 Autobot logos. And speaking of black repaints, the next one is my first Transformers Legacy Evolution figure, the Generation Selects Magnificus. Basically, I already covered this guy a whole lot in the Studio Series review, or in the Studio Series tier list video, because I mentioned about Perceptor and everything about Perceptor. Basically, take everything that I said about Perceptor, only this time the guy has the new head sculpt and he's in black. Amazing. Now moving on to number 11, we have the Transformers Voyager Class Shattered Glass Soundwave. Now this Soundwave is based on that Netflix Soundwave that I never managed to get my hands on, but I am glad I got my hands on this guy, because he also comes with the 2 little cassettes. He had a comic book. I love his green bandana, his green eyes, and overall, this guy definitely was one of my favorites out of all the Shattered Glass figures. Like, very, very nice Soundwave. You can't go wrong with Soundwave. He's always cool no matter what continuity he's from. Now moving on to number 10, we've now reached the top 10. This is the Transformers Legacy Core Class Iguanus. This might come as a surprise to a lot of you, but I cannot sing the praises of this figure enough. This is one of the most satisfying Transformers purchases I have ever made this year. Iguanus is detailed, he's fun, to play with, he's super posable for his size, his transformation is genius, the motorcycle mode itself is overall really cool, and the only issue I really have with him is that his weapon is a little weird, and he doesn't really have a kickstand or anything in motorcycle mode, so he just keeps falling over. But besides that, it's like I literally can barely think of anything wrong with him. Now moving on to number 9, we have the Transformers Legacy Voyager Class Blaster, and Blaster here comes with his nice little cassette partner, and this guy has 0 issues. He's got clean kibble, he's got all the essential details. He comes with a cassette, he has a blaster, his transformation is easy, his boombox mode is awesome, and then I should also mention, I did also like the Shattered Glass Blaster as well, and all the same stuff I said about that one, about the main one same thing goes for this blaster. I do love the Shattered Glass one as well. Right down to the articulation and detail. Now moving on to number 8, we have the Transformers Legacy Voyager Class Inferno from Beast Wars, and I love Inferno. The only reason this guy didn't end up higher on the list is because I feel like his bug legs and his big thruster butt thing really ram into each other and the parts clink around, and it makes him kind of a mess to, play with. But the overall is he's accurate. The ant mode is also really good, and I love his moving mouth and just overall really nice figure. I just wish he came with flame effects too. And going into number 7, we have the Transformers Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection Galaxy Shuttle from the Victory Universe. Very nice figure. I love the paint and everything, and this guy, I already loved Astro Train in general, so this guy really takes that and just makes him an Autobot, and he's in jazz colors. Also, I love how he manages to really change his colors when he changes into his other modes. The train manages to be black, and the space shuttle manages to be white. It's so cool that they managed to engineer this guy and paint him up to where it feels like each mode is so unique just because of the paint apps. Now moving on to number 6, we're closing in on the top 5. We've got the Transformers Legacy Deluxe Class Tarantulas. Again, I love Tarantulas, and he's a nice Deluxe Class figure. He's actually one of my favorite Beast Wars characters in general, and I love the purple and the colors and everything, and his transformation is flawless. The only issue, and why he didn't end up in the top 5, is the bug legs do kind of tend to be a bit fidgety, just like with Inferno, so it just barely put in that little bit below number 5, which is the Transformers Legacy Leader Class Blitzwing. I really like Blitzwing. Again, nice purple, very love the character, and I love that this guy's a triple changer. Yes, his jet mode is a little clunky, but I overall really like how he turned out, and I like his articulation, his detail. He comes with his sword, guns, and I love that bright yellow head and the silver paint, and I just love all the different things about Blitzwing, and he was definitely satisfying for the $50. Now going to number 4, we have the Transformers Legacy Voyager Class G2 Gaxis. This one should come as no surprise to anybody. Gaxis was, by general, the general vocal from the the general audience of Transformers fans was that Gaxis here was one of the best figures of 2022 with his articulation, his detail. He's such an obscure character who got all this extra engineering and everything, and he's just so flawless. There's literally zero things wrong with this guy because he's got so many options, guns, accessories, his size is right, detail, articulation, there's literally nothing wrong with him. So that's why I think he should be higher up in the list. Now going into number 3, we have the Transformers Legacy Titan Class Black Zarak. Now, Black Zarak I recently got for Christmas, and he's just a really good figure. He's a giant black and gold Titan. He has a presence, especially that big red spear. He is a very nice Titan class, and I can highly recommend him to a lot of people, especially since he keeps going on clearance everywhere. And he's really articulated, hyper detailed, and also that same stuff applies to his Scorpion mode as well as his base mode. And also his Headmaster is really cool as well with that retooled chest and the brand new head. Now moving on to number 2, we have the Transformers Legacy Commander Class / Deluxe Class Combiner Menasor. Now, I didn't want to have the Stunticons be separated as their own separate tiers because, again, there were so many figures I really liked, and I was worried that they were all going to take up too many spots on the list. So just to make sure that I threw in as many figures as I wanted that I liked, I wanted to just throw the Stunticons together as one whole combiner of Menasor. I love the Menasor combined form, and I love how they integrated all the cars. They really are just tacked on, but I like how they at least tried to integrate them a little bit better than they did with Combiner Wars, and just overall, I really like this guy. I just am disappointed with how small the sword was. Now moving on to number 1, we have the Transformers Legacy Leader Class Beast Wars Transmetal 2 Megatron. I have never been more satisfied with a purchase from this past year than the Dragon Megatron. He's posable, he's detailed. And again, the whole downsizing of leader class figures over the past couple of years has been an issue, but this guy feels big. He's a giant leader class. He feels like he's worth that leader class price point. And I definitely was satisfied when I got him out of the box, and he has like literally zero flaws. He comes with a flame piece. If I really had to nitpick, I think they should have maybe given him like 1 or 2 more accessories, or maybe even some better articulation in the head, but it's really reaching. I have like 0 things to complain about with it. Yes. You thought we were done, huh? Well, actually, my actual number 1 is the Transformers HasLab Star Saber, or Victory Saber. Now, the only reason I put him above Dragon Megatron, but he's not officially the number 1, is because technically this is my number 1 favorite figure, or figures, of the whole year. But I feel like it's a little bit unfair for a HasLab to go at the top of the list, because again, it's a HasLab, it's always going to go at the top of the list. So I just put him at the top of the list just to say, hey, he's my official number 1, but if you guys think it's a bit unfair and he shouldn't, and that shouldn't count, the HasLab shouldn't count, then just say Dragon Megatron was my number 1. Because again, this guy is not as accessible as Dragon Megatron was, and so I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that this is my official favorite. But if we're talking for like the general public stuff you can actually get that's not HasLab, like the mainline stuff, then it's Dragon Megatron who's my number 1. Anyway, that is basically it for the whole top figures of 2022. And also, if you guys want to see more detail on why I like Star Saber so much, go and check out that review. I worked really hard on it. So, thank y'all for watching. This has been Briximus Prime. Be sure to comment down below what you guys think for your top figures. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys next time.